What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of XP Reviews. This time, we are sitting down and discussing our overall thoughts on Hogwarts Legacy. I'm one of your reviewers, Mike C. Joining me, as always, is the co-host of the XP podcast, my man in charge, the Birdman himself, Logan B. What's up?
What is up, everybody? It's going to be a very exciting episode. As you probably know by the title, we're going to be reviewing good old Hogwarts Legacy. So I'm excited to get into this. I don't know if we have much to talk about our week since we recorded not long ago, but I guess I had a pretty good week. I mean, I'm feeling better. So, what about you, Mike?
I'm feeling fine. Yeah, if you guys want to check out the episode we just recorded, you'll get to hear some thoughts and opinions on PSVR 2. That was exciting. Got some more time with that. So far, it's looking very good. Outside of there are some annoyances with it, but that's mostly because I don't have a charging dock yet, and it's incredibly annoying to charge the things without the dock. But you'll hear more and more on that as I sit down with it, as Logan gets a chance to come down and play with it a little bit. You'll get some more details on what we have to say about that. But other than that, guys, if you like this review and you want to hear more from us at The Experience Point, go check out the XP Podcast, our weekly video game and pop culture news podcast where Logan and myself sit down with y'all and talk about all the news stories and happenings inside and out of the video game world. We post a new episode each and every week, so you can listen to it whenever you want. And like we said, there's a brand new episode 40 just went live. There's actually a lot in that one. I remember when I was sitting down and we were getting ready to record it, I thought it was going to be a shorter one. Turned out to be a longer one. So, sure. If you want to hear what we have to think about the new king of greedy sports games, go check out that. We'll talk about Blood Bowl 3 and all the things that they are doing over there. We also talk about the state of play and the Pokemon Presents that happened. And then Logan gets really excited about Elden Ring. So if you want to hear any of that, go check it out. It's there for you if you want to listen to it. If you just want to listen to this, you just want to hear what we have to say about Hogwarts Legacy and our final opinions, well, you're in the right place. So without further ado, if you're ready, Logan.
I am ready.
All right, like we always do, we start off with a summary of the game to kind of let you guys know, if you don't know out there, what we are reviewing and what we're talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Hogwarts Legacy, officially released on February 10th, 2023 for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S consoles. Hogwarts Legacy is an immersive open-world action RPG set in the world first introduced in the Harry Potter books. Now you can take control of the action and be at the center of your own adventure in the wizarding world. Embark on a journey through familiar and new locations as you explore and discover fantastic beasts. Customize your character, craft potions, master spells, upgrade talents, and become the wizard you want to be. Experience Hogwarts in the 1800s. Your character is a student who holds the key to an ancient secret that threatens to tear the wizarding world apart. You have received a letter of acceptance to the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry and soon discover that you are no ordinary student. You possess an unusual ability to perceive and master ancient magic. Only you can decide if you will protect this secret for the good of all or yield to the temptation of more sinister magic. Discover the feeling at Hogwarts as you make allies, battle dark wizards, and ultimately decide the fate of the wizarding world. Your legacy is what you make of it. So, if you don't know how we do things out there, we always start our reviews off with the non-spoiler section of the reviews, and then after we finish up our talks, after we put a score on it, we let you guys know that we're going to move into the SpoilerCast, and we talk a little bit about the story and the characters of the game in detail. So, without any delay, I think it's time to talk about what we think about this game. Logan, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Do you want to go for the summary first?
Yes, I will give you my overall thoughts on the game. We're changing things up. instead of making you guys wait to the end of the non-spoiler section, we're going to throw out our overall thoughts and opinions and our score right here, right now. And then over the course of the next 30 plus or so minutes, we'll detail why we think about that. Well, why we think that way, I mean, sorry. Anyway, my overall thoughts and score.
So, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I was getting ready to read.
Okay.
That's
All
what
right, you go
that's
first.
what the clearing of the throat was.
That's fair.
Hogwarts Legacy is not the next step in open world RPGs, and that's fine. What it is, however, is an incredibly high quality effort from a group of people that clearly have an absolute love for the source material, and their care and passion for it breeze through the screen at every turn. Yes, the story, side quests, and collectathon you do throughout the game aren't anything incredibly special, especially compared to the high watermarks of the genre. But as my 30th hour turned into my 50th hour and so on, none of that really mattered. What did matter was the simple fact that I was absolutely enthralled with what Avalanche and WB Games has produced here. Like we'll say throughout this review, sure, this game is neither perfect nor as ambitious as maybe we had hoped, and my score will reflect that, but what I want to be known is the fact that this game is an absolute blast and something that deserves the attention of Harry Potter fans and Western RPG fans around the globe. I'm giving Hogwarts Legacy an 8.5 out of 10 and awarding it our gold trophy.
All right. Okay. So that's actually going to be higher than what I'm scoring it. Spoiler alert. So what I think about Hogwarts Legacy, I think I swear, I can't talk anymore. Hogwarts Legacy was truly a magical experience. Though, with its shortcomings, I think for a smaller studio, they have exceeded my expectations. I think they have done a fantastic job of designing this world, making it as close as possible. As some people say, this is probably one of the best movie tie-in games to be out there, probably. But with that, it has its problems with its exploration and sometimes its lackluster side content. But other than that, I think this game is fully worth it, especially if you are a Harry Potter fan. I will have to say this is probably easily the best Harry Potter game to ever come out, no stop. But other than that, I think what I'm going to be giving it is an 8 out of 10, which is going to be great, and that is rewarding it the gold trophy.
So why'd you settle on? Because I pushed it to an 8.5 simply because I thought it was a little better than great, but I couldn't get it to amazing, especially since the way I review things is I look at the genre that the game's in and I look at what the game wants to be, and I review it as that with its contemporaries. And I think its closest contemporaries are something like Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. Obviously, The Witcher 3 is jumping in there, and some of the other things. And I gave it an 8.5 because I don't think it's as good as those games. I don't think it's as well made in some of those games, but I do think it is significantly better than a lot of the other open world RPGs out there, like your Assassin's Creeds, like your, oh my god, I'm blanking on everything. But I thought it kind of sat in the middle of that 8 to 9 area. There were parts of this game that I thought were absolutely incredible, and there were parts of it that I thought were like just good. So I guess it could go either way. An 8, an 8.5. It doesn't matter. It's a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say, don't want to talk for Logan, but I highly recommended this game. This game to anybody who's, like I said, a fan of Hogwarts, a fan of Harry Potter, a fan of open world action RPGs, a fan of RPGs in general. Even if you are coming from just the JRPG, okay, well maybe you won't be a fan of it then, but a fan of Western video games as a whole in general, I think you're gonna find something that you truly, truly love here. So
Yeah, no, I'm not saying this game is bad. I mean, clearly it's a 0.5 difference and it's an 8, which is clearly great. And as I said, I highly recommend it. We'll be getting more in I'm not going to say it. We're going to be putting a little bit more detail into why we think the way we do the more we get through this podcast. But yeah, I still think it's 100% worth it even if you're not a super huge Harry Potter fan, such as myself, I absolutely love just about every minute I played of this game. But obviously, there's flaws with it, and there's reasons why I brought it down, which I'll be explaining more in depth or more deep into with more detail when we get to
What's funny
that
is you
point.
actually just said it right.
I know, and then
Out
never
of
gonna be able
no,
to say it again.
out of
I
nowhere,
swear.
you said it right. All
I
right.
know.
That's a running gag. Everyone out there, make sure to type in the comments and spell out the proper way to say the word depth and don't say it death. But anyway, let's jump into some of those high water remarks and some of the low remarks. I think for me, especially we consist when you look at like kind of the 4 or 5 things that we take games at, the way we look at games, I think the highest points in here are world visuals, the way the world is designed, all those other things, and I think the gameplay. Those are the two biggest things, the combat, that I can say about this game. And obviously, my big down is going to be, story, narrative, maybe, not maybe, definitely a lack of, I think, in-depth character work. Uh, but like I said, this is one of the rare examples where sometimes a lack of that takes me completely out of the game, but I think the gameplay was so good and I was having so much fun playing it that it kind of overwrote that big negative that I normally have when it comes to story and narrative. And now saying that, I don't want to say the stories are bad. It's just it's a fine one. It's an okay one with decent characters, but nothing that I'm gonna remember for the rest of time outside of the fact that I hate a character that everyone else seems to love. So
So we're just talking about the world design.
we're just talking. Whatever
Oh,
you want
okay.
to talk
All
about.
right.
We're just going in,
Okay.
brother.
Um. Well, I want to start with some goods. Clearly, as I said, um, I think the graphics and art style of this game is absolutely phenomenal. As I said on our first podcast when we recorded, when we only played for like 15 hours of the game, and I know this is, again, I don't know why, but I just have this really weird comparison with this game. But it has a very AC Unity or Assassin's Creed Unity for the people that didn't get that. Assassin's Creed Unity, I think it has like the same kind of color palette and same kind of lighting in that game, and that's not a hit on this game clearly because I think it's great and beautiful, and I think Unity is easily still one of the most beautiful Assassin's Creed games, other than the glitches and stuff. But yeah, no, I really love just the amount of effort, and clearly you can tell when you play this game how much of like these people are huge fans of Harry Potter, and they put every little tiny detail you can think of they put into making this game as lore friendly to Harry Potter. I mean, they even went as far to make 2 Hagrid huts because of the movies having this weird problem where they have, for some reason, they moved Hagrid's hut in between in different movies, and so a lot of people had problems with the fact that Hagrid had 2 huts for some reason. So now they have both of them, and they're both technically in the lore in this game and everything, and just a lot of other things like the garden and a lot of other, they just put so much detail into this world, and it is so much fun to explore, which I think, again, as an open world game, that is very important. If you want to go explore, that is a huge positive because that's the point of an open world. If you have an open world and you don't want to explore it, you have no interest to look around, then that kind of just defeats the purpose of like, why is it open world? Why would you put this game in an open world thing? Um, but and then also I want to throw in another real quick thing. I guess I'm gonna stick with graphical stuff. I want to also shout out for a thing that I think is very underrated in gaming, but especially in console games. But it has a very vast amount of graphical options, which I absolutely love. I know it's a console thing, and you don't want to make things too complicated, but I still don't think this was too complicated, in my opinion. And it honestly, I just thought about this the more I played it. They also opened it up to where for future consoles that release in the future, you could technically run this game even better by the fact that when you get like, let's say PS5 Pro comes out, you could literally go to the normal high mode in this game, or what is it called, fidelity mode. You could turn off the frame rate cap, and boom, bada bing, you literally now have a upgraded version of this game within the next console. And I know this is a very small, very dumb thing. Probably a lot of people don't care about it, but I think this is also, I kind of wish more games started to do this, kind of preparing the game for the future when the next consoles come out, because I kind of like that. Because if I ever want to come back to this game, they don't even have to upgrade it because it's already going to be upgraded by the fact that you could just go to Fidelity, uncap the frame rate, and you're going to have a 60 FPS, full 4K. I mean, yeah, you could probably even turn the ray tracing mode on to do that. So I think that's cool. And again, they in general, even for now, the generation we are, the current systems we have, this game looks insanely great with the graphical options. I think performance is definitely the sweet spot where literally it has a very great amount of detail and it runs very smooth. Can't say as much for the Xbox because for some reason with the Xbox, I don't know why developers recently just kind of have stopped, I don't know, focusing on making good products or, focusing on actually optimizing it properly. It's been happening a lot lately, but that's a whole nother topic. But for the PS5, at least, I had no problems. And it was really great. I really like, again, the fact that they give you so much options because I like customization. And I know that's not a console thing to think of, but I do appreciate it when developers do that. Um, but I've said a lot. What about you, Mike? I kind of feel like I took the mic away from you a little bit.
No, you're absolutely okay. Well, speaking about visuals, like I said, I think the biggest thing I have praise wise is the world design itself, the castle, the surrounding areas, everything you explore and you look at, I think is absolutely beautiful. It is a little samey. There's not really the diversity that you get in something like Forbidden West or something like Horizon Forbidden West. There's not a lot of diversity in there. The seasons do change. Although I thought it was weird that winter stays around for absolutely ever in this game. Like it's just constantly winter. I would have liked the change to come a little earlier in the game, but that's really not a complaint at all. It's just a weird thing that I saw throughout my playthrough. I will say, character-wise, I don't think this game really hits it out of the park. I think the characters are overall they're perfectly fine and adequate, but it's definitely not as impressive as like the actual open world areas, especially not Hogwarts. I don't think there's many things that can compare to how impressive Hogwarts is in this game. And I'm talking about in the grander scale of video games as a whole, what they were able to do here and what they were able to achieve with the density, the design, the look of it all. I think it's kind of unmatched, especially like I don't think that there's anything else I can come up with that has like this detailed of a single area in a larger open world map. Like it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around when I say the entirety of the Hogwarts castle is available to you here and available to explore eventually within this game, and that's maybe what 10% of this game world. You know?
It's like a really small area technically when you look at the whole map in general.
Yeah, and the amount of time you can spend just exploring every single in and out of that castle is kind of eye-opening and kind of bewildering to at least a small majority point. Now, yes, the rest of the world isn't quite as detailed. Hogsmeade, is very beautiful, but when you delve into it, they repeat a lot of the house layouts and other things like that in there. So definitely Hogwarts was the focus here, and obviously I don't know why it wouldn't be, but it was definitely like, we got to get this right, and we got to get this as detailed as we possibly can, and everything is there. All the details that fans want. I mean, you can go out and listen to TikToks that are reading out descriptions from the books, and they're exactly like they are in the books. They're detailed here, and it's just overall very, very impressive. And I think is probably the game's winningest feature is the open world design and the visual design around the open world. Like I said, characters not so much. I don't think character design or characters details are really anything spectacular. They're not necessarily bad, but they're just not really anything to write home about. So overall, yes, The game is incredibly beautiful, and you will get absorbed into this world. And that's all I really have to say on that about visuals and everything like that. It's just really, really good. It's not, you know, the next step in video game design or anything like that. I would say something like Cyberpunk, looks a lot better than this. Obviously, like I've said, Horizon I think looks far superior to this, but it's still
Red Dead Redemption 2, but we
yeah.
can keep going on. But yeah.
Yeah, there are things that if you want to get nitpicky and into the meat of everything, there's obviously things that look better. There's probably always going to be things that look better than other things. That's the nature of the beast. But if you ask me, does this game look good? Gun to my head. Yes, the game looks good. It looks good. It plays well. Every once in a while, there's a few visual hitches. Like, it seems like every time I walk into a cave, there's like this white bar that kind of shows up on the sides of my screens for a little bit. I don't know what's going on there.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
It looks like screen tearing to me, but it's not like the usual type of screen tearing that we get. So I'm not an expert. I'm not Digital Foundry. If you want to hear what they have to say, I guess you can actually go listen to it now. Good for them, I guess. But we're not gonna get into that.
But I do want to say, so I'm gonna kind of keep with the world for right now, kind of keep it in this category. I want to say one more really good thing is just the fact that there is a lot to discover in this game, and usually, at least for me, not a person. I mean, Mike knows this 100. He knows me. He knows that I don't really like collecting stuff. He knows I'm not a big fan of the whole going around and collecting things. And I gotta say, in this game, at least 90% of the stuff that you collect, or maybe like 80%, is really fun to go find and discover. And I feel like, especially when you finally open up to the open world, which I gotta say, the way that they introduce the open world is kind of satisfying because they kind of pull from other games in the way they do it. Like, for example, Red Dead Redemption 2, at the beginning, you're stuck in this tutorial section where you're in the snow for like the first couple hours or whatever. And then when you finally open up to that open world, it feels extremely satisfying. Or Skyrim, for example. At the very beginning, you're stuck in this very linear section of the game. And then when you finally get to that open world, it's super satisfying. And I think this game kind of really pulled from that book. And you're basically stuck in the castle for a very long time, I feel like. But when you finally get that broom and you finally can really get around the world really quickly, it is extremely satisfying. It's very great, just in general, especially that first time you go to Hogsmeade and you turn around and you see the castle in the background. It's like, damn, this looks good. And I really love just the fact that exploring is really fun in this game. Now, it doesn't have its problems. I'll be getting into that very quickly about certain open world designs that I am not a huge fan of in this game that we've talked about a little bit on our first episode when we talked about it within 15 hours of the game or so. But I think in general, I had a lot of fun exploring the world, and I did find that there was a lot to discover, and a lot of it was really fun to find. Some stuff, not so much, which I want to get into one really quickly that really is just a joke, in my opinion. And that is the stupid freaking treasure caves. What a waste. I don't know why they put these in this game.
Incredibly pointless. You just get a random piece of gear. And also...
And it's never good. It's like very basic crap.
And also, it's really annoying. It doesn't mark itself off when you've completed it. Most other things get a check mark on the map when you mark yourself off. And this is a huge kind of trophy thing that I'll be diving into maybe sometime in this, where the game doesn't track as much as I would want perfectly. And this is one of those moments, like you were saying, it's pointless to go into these caves, and sometimes you even gotta like solve like an entrance puzzle, and it's like, why? For a blue piece of gear.
Yeah, it's really dumb because like you get to these caves and like, especially the first time you see one of these in the game, you're really excited because it looks cool. And it's like there's no loading screens. I'm like, oh man, this is kind of cool. Like, which I'll be getting into that too. But it's like really cool because like you're going down in this cave and you're like, oh, those probably could be some enemies or something really cool. Maybe they're gonna put this little story down there. And occasionally I have found some very cool little stories, like especially in this underwater cave that I went to at a certain point, where I found this like random little note. You know, it was a little story in this random world about like a dude that got stuck in a cave and died. And it was cool because it had a little bit of a note and you got a little bit of loot. At least that was something. But most of these treasure caves, you're going in and you're opening a chest. You're leaving the cave. That's the entire thing. That is a treasure cave. I've done like 10 of these things, probably more than that, maybe like 20. And all of them are the same. They're just very basic,
Question.
boring. Yes.
Did you find the wizard's chest one?
I don't think so.
Oh yeah, there's one in the final kind of area of the game where you go in and like you go on this pathway and it's just huge wizard's chessboard. And like I said, that's really cool. But then you open the chest and it's like, oh, cool, don't need that. But yeah, so like you said, that every once in a while they do something cool with them. But I overall just didn't care about them. I guess I would make my way in at random points in the game if I was like, sure, I'll go in here. Because I realized it would take 5 seconds. So no, I was like, maybe I'll get a legendary. Don't think I ever got a legendary piece. But speaking of that, there's one thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I know you are critical of loot levels and loot grind and things like that.
Can I say one more thing before we get to that?
Yeah, sure.
One more thing I want to say about the open world that I find to be, it isn't inherently super bad, but it does get a little tedious throughout the game. This is the way that you could really tell this is their first time making a game like this, and that is with the loading screens, especially the very strange ones, like going from one building in Hogwarts to the other, which seems to be every time you do it, this happens. But there's a weird loading screen or a little loading bar on the door, and you run like you're running full sprint to the door, like, oh, I gotta get to this building, and then you're basically face plant into the door, and it's like, yep, you gotta load. I find that to be a little bit more awkward. I mean, I don't know how they could fix it. I don't know, but they need to find a way to maybe stream that a little bit better because I already know kind of how they're going to bring it in the OG systems because I've seen it on the Series S. On the Series S, when you try to leave to different buildings, you have to actually press A, and there's actually a loading screen.
Yeah,
it could be worse, I guess, but it's still just kind of like it gets a little annoying and weird because it's like you're literally running face first into a door, and most doors in the game it's instantaneously you can just go right through. But then there's a few, like especially when you're going from building to building in Hogwarts, it will just hit you with the loading screen. Yeah, it's like a couple seconds, but it's just weird. Like I've never seen that. I literally don't think I've ever seen that in a video game. So it was very weird. And it takes a while to get used to. I don't think it inherently is a bad thing. I'd put it in my meh category. But I still think it's a little weird. It's a little bit strange to get used to. But I also, in general, I want to go for a positive too. The loading screens in this game, super fast. Like you want to go fast travel to a different point, bam. It's like what, maybe 2 seconds, probably less than that. It's super quick. But yeah, let's get into the whole RPG mechanics of this game or the loot. What do you want to say?
Oh, no, I was just asking you because I never really mind them too much. I mean, some games do it really, really good. Some games do it, I would call them Avengers way. But I think this game is harmless, if not kind of pointless overall. Like, there are stats and there are things to be tracked, but pretty much just equip the highest number and go. Like, you know.
So I didn't hate it because yeah, it wasn't intrusive, but it also just makes me think, why was it even in here in the first place? Because not a single time in this game did I ever be like, let me go look. Because by the way, all these different items you get in the game, they're all stuck to certain categories. Like when you get like a jacket, it's always going to be like defense, or if you get like a hat, it's always offense. So when you grab a new gear, you don't need to focus on if it's either offense or defense. You're not focusing on those stats. So throughout the entire game, I just grab an item. I'm like, oh, is it a higher score? Put it on. That's all I did. And I don't really see why it's even in the game in the first place because it doesn't really do anything. It just looks. It's honestly just trying to like make it be like, oh, I got a legendary, just like the same damn shirt I got like earlier, just a different color. Like, I don't know. I don't really see why they put it in the game. I think it's kind of useless um in every way. Like, especially later on in the game, I'm not gonna touch, but you get to upgrade your stuff, and I never did it because I never seen the point in doing it, which I guess what I want to get to a real quick point. I don't think this game is extremely hard. I died 2 times, and the only reason I died was one time I fell through the map, and the other time I was dumb in a very sneaky scene, which has an instant kill, and I wasn't focusing on something and I died. But that's the only 2 times I died in this game. I never died by a single enemy while fighting them in this game. And I wouldn't say this game's super easy because trust me, I've seen Amy struggle a little bit while playing this game. It's definitely not super easy, especially that final boss fight. Pretty tough if you don't have a lot of potions on you. It could be. I mean, you could probably draw it out, but like it's pretty difficult at times. But I will also say one more thing about difficulty. Hard difficulty is a joke because all it is it just makes enemies super spongy. It doesn't make the game harder. It just makes the enemies more tedious to take down. Because I tried it out because I'm like, okay, maybe I need to bring up the difficulty. Hard is just not fun. It's not difficult. It's not hard. It's more, it just makes the enemies more beefy. That's all it does. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I still like normal, and I still found some parts to be pretty difficult and some enemies to be pretty difficult at times. But as soon as you get into it, it's kind of whatever. But back to RPG mechanics, I don't really care for the whole loot system. I just don't care why. I don't get why it's there. It doesn't do anything for the game, and it also just kind of makes me wonder: did they have a whole different design philosophy before they put this game out? Was it going to be more tedious? Was it going to be a lot of like you're going to have to buy this thing to level up quicker, like Ubisoft? Like I don't know. It's kind of like the whole Gotham Knights thing, where it's definitely nowhere as bad as Gotham Knights on the way it does things, but uh, since this is made by the same or released by the same publisher, uh, it just seems weird. And honestly, kind of WB's kind of doing the same thing as Ubisoft at this point, where they're releasing everything with these weird loot systems. Like I just don't get why. Like why do you need this in all your games? And this is kind of what for this game is I just don't get why it's in here. It didn't need to be in this game. Honestly, they could have just had a thing where you get certain gear and it brings up the thing. Like I just don't get it. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I think it is a little bit you. You really just don't like, and I'm not saying that like in a rude or mean way. I think it's just you just don't love loot systems. I think this is an overall harmless one. I did engage with it. I did make sure everything was upgraded to its max. I made sure the traits were all what I wanted them to do. I wanted them to be. There is a little bit of build diversity, which is a huge part of RPGs, especially more on like your heavy Western RPGs, like something like Elden Ring or things like that. There is a huge build diversity in that. Now, I'm not comparing this to that because it's not even close, but there is a little bit of that in here in terms of what you want your traits to be and how you upgrade your character in a way, because I think the game does an intelligent thing of you can't have every single skill point active. You just can't. There's not enough skill points. You have to pick and choose in a way. And I would say there's really only two different paths. You could be a spell master or a plant master, that's what I would call them. And I ignored the plants, although I've seen people out there that they can be incredibly overpowered. This guy took
yeah,
down
the
a
mandrakes, man,
yeah.
those things are strong.
This guy took down a troll without casting a single spell. I watched him do it. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. I'm glad that if that's something you want to dig into and that's something you want to engage with, there is at least some sort of build diversity or playstyle diversity that you can have in this game. And if you are that plant master type thing that I said, you can equip all the traits that you want to give you the biggest boost and all that. All my traits were pretty much spell damage, ancient magic refill, and damage itself, and then just the spells I would use the most, like Confringo or Defendo, were the two traits that I had to max out their effectiveness in combat. So, I think the loot system, yeah, I don't hate it.
Well,
I sorry.
no, I just want to say one positive about the loot system though is there's a lot of variety in outfits and stuff to customize your character, and also one thing that makes this whole weird loot system that really doesn't matter in the game actually at least enjoyable is the fact that they already have what is it called? I don't know what
Tra-
they call it in most games.
Transmog.
Transmog already built into the game day one, so you don't have to like pick up a gear and look really dumb, kind of like Cyberpunk, where you're getting a bunch of weird stuff and you're putting on your character just so you can be a higher level. You can change your gear from the beginning. And I really love that, and I'm really happy they put that. So that's why it didn't really bother me, because at least I can make my character look the way I want him to throughout the game. So it wasn't as negative as it could have been, and also it just wasn't intrusive. But yeah, you know what I mean by I just don't think it was really needed.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't.
but
Like I said, I don't know if it was needed per se. I mean, I think it's nice to have. I like seeing my stats grow, and I like trying to get them as high as I can. By the way, my attack and defense are both at 426, and which I'm pretty sure is the max. And my health is at 4,000, which is the max. You get health per level, so like there's a little bit of that number boosting there. If you're a fan of that in RPGs, then it's there for you to engage with. It said it's not intrusive. Clearly, it's not needed to beat the game because, like Logan said, overall the game, I don't even think it's kind of easy. I think the game is very easy, but it does take, I guess, a little bit of skill to
I
get.
think for certain people it isn't going to be as easy. I firsthand
Yes,
have seen
absolutely.
Amy struggle a little bit at the beginning, because I will admit, one thing you're going to have to wrap your head around game is at the beginning it's going to be a little bit much with how to use spells, and to really kind of get used to kind of making combos, to really kind of
Yeah,
figure out what, because I do like that you can really customize how you want your spell slots, because throughout the game you unlock more spell slots that you can do for your d-pad. And at that point, that was like one of the first things I fully upgraded, because I wanted to have more spell slots. As soon as you get that figured out, the game really starts to feel really good, and you can really mix and match and kind of build your way that you want. Like how you were saying earlier with builds, like you can really build how you want to be. Like maybe you want to be a more distance person, then you can really go for distance the entire time. Make an entire spell slot for distant, like more distant based spells. Or maybe you want to be more in the combat. You can do ones that are close range, ones that bring people to you and be a lot more aggressive. Um, but I do want to say one thing about combat real quick. Stealth is broken in this game, in my opinion. I don't think it's good. I think the AI are too dumb for stealth in this game, because, dude, stealth was easy as can be. I never had even the slightest struggle with it. And as soon as you get this one, I only unlocked one slot in my stealth, and that was where you can move faster. And at that point, you're basically invincible. You could just run around and easily take everyone. It's super easy. Like I've been able to go through all these fortresses like it's nothing, because the AI are kind of brain dead and they take forever to notice you. And I'm like, I basically just run up, take everyone out, and I'm like, wow, that was easy. So I mean, if you like that and that's your kind of gameplay, great. I actually stopped doing stealth very quickly into the game because I just didn't think it was fun. I thought it was way too easy. But maybe that's just me. Some people have struggles with that, but I think stealth in this game is a little too easy, which is weird because I don't really like stealth that much. But stealth is very easy in this game, and it's definitely kind of broken in my opinion. Especially if you get the running ability where you can literally sprint while in stealth mode.
see, I didn't even unlock that because it got to the point where I just felt super powerful and I would just run in
Well, that's what I did
head first
too.
in the combat. Now I will say something that I ignored for a while in the game, and then eventually I guess I didn't ignore it anymore, but it's use the invisibility potions within combat, and you can like easily take out multiple people. And if you get the final stealth like skill point where if you take out someone with Petrificus Totalis, it like kind of spreads out. Dude, in the middle of combat, you pop an invisibility potion, take out something with Petrificus Totalis, and it'll take out like at least 2 or 3 guys if you kind of match them out right. What I got used to doing was I would Accio, which grabbed like a group of people, invisibility potion pop, walk around, cast the P spell. Like I don't want to keep saying it, and like all of them would die immediately. One thing I did want to point out that we're on combat. I think the unforgivable curses are a little bit of a letdown here.
Really?
Granted, I didn't engage with them, but
I think they're great.
everybody,
Especially at least 2 of them. I think one of them is kind of a letdown, but the other 2 are very good.
Everyone talks about how awesome Avada Kedavra is. You can instantly kill things. And I was like, bro, I'm instantly killing things with normal spells anyway. Now, not trolls and things like that, so I guess there is that. But normal enemies,
trolls and big spiders, yeah.
Oh man,
Easy one-shotters.
I guess I just got really good at the combat because I.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's very easy in general, but like sometimes you have a huge crowd of people, and so like there's 2 spells in the dark arts that I highly recommend. One is when using a curse spell, and if you hurt that person that's cursed, it will spread out to other people. And if you mix that spell with the top left one, which is for Avada Kedavra, where you when you use Avada Kedavra on someone, it kills every single person that is cursed. So if you mix those 2 together, you can get a huge group of people, spread that curse to everyone, use Avada Kedavra, everyone's dead, all in one shot. It's so freaking good. It is unbelievably super good, and it's super satisfying. And yeah, I feel like when you get that spell, the game really starts to break itself because it's like it's really funny because you'll run into like these big enemies and like, oh, big boss fight, Abracadabra, dead. It's funny though. I didn't hate it because I thought it was fun. I guess I'm kind of being I'm kind of going back on my word with the whole stealth being broken thing and how I thought that was dumb, but I don't know. I guess I appreciate the fact that they kept with their word on the fact that spells do what they're supposed to do, and Avada Kedavra definitely does what it's supposed to. It's a one-shot kill spell on literally anything, except for I think the final boss, because I tried it on the final boss, didn't work. So that's the only enemy in the game that it does not work with. So
yeah, I don't know. I guess credit to the game. They balanced it to the point that you don't feel like you have to use the unforgivable curses because, like I said, I never. The only time I ever used them was in the Dark Arts Battle Arena, and I was like, oh, these are. I'm much more comfortable.
Which, by the way, never found that.
No, it's in the Forbidden Forest.
Yeah, I never found that again. I don't know where this is, and I'm not gonna. I just forgot about it, to be honest. I need to go do it. Just never did it. So, but yeah, I mean, there is one more thing I want to get out there before we get really deep into combat because there's some other stuff I want to talk about. I want to say one other little weird thing I felt throughout this game. Did you ever have a problem with the fact that your character constantly repeats the same damn lines over and over and over again in this game? Like, there's no place like Hogsmeade.
Oh, well, that's
like every road leads to Hogsmeade.
That's a meme now. So yeah.
This town is from. Oh man, this little town looks like it's from a storybook.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's like, dude. Especially, there's one mission in this game that deals with the Forbidden Forest at the beginning of the game, where you're looking at chests and your character repeats the same damn line every 5 seconds. Wait, why didn't he get this treasure? Oh, wait, why didn't he get this treasure? Oh, wait, why didn't he get this treasure? Oh, wait, why didn't he get this treasure? Yeah, you think that's annoying? Think of that like times 100. You're literally constantly spewing out that same line over and over again. I guess they just forgot to record more lines because, man, sometimes the way they repeat some of these lines, it's very annoying. And I do take this as a bad because it's very annoying sometimes. It's like, I will say it is kind of funny, the Hogsmeade thing, especially when me and Amy play. I always joke around about it. I'm like, there's no place like Hogsmeade. Seems like every road leads to Hogsmeade. But that mission specifically kind of broke me because I'm like, dude, I can't stand these repeated lines. Like, it was literally the same line just over and over again. And I'm like, dude, just do the line one time and don't do it again. You don't need to say the line over and over again. So I thought that was one annoying thing. That's like the last thing I wanted to say about like open world stuff, but I just think that was one thing I ran into quite a bit throughout the game for the 45 hours I played this game, and I just felt like it was very frustrating. What about you? Did they get it a little tedious to you throughout the game? Other than I do think the Hogsmeade one was fun. I just kind of got used to it and thought it was funny, but some other ones were pretty tedious.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess his repeated lines, the character's repeated lines, are fairly annoying to a point. Not as annoying as the fucking Foo Flame lady.
Oh,
Can she
yes,
please shut the hell
every
up?
time.
Dude, I hate
What
her.
was it?
I fucking hate her.
I'm trying to remember her lines. Wait, one of them was like,
you don't know what it was like before I created this. It was so hard. I'm like, I don't know. You probably fucking walked or flew on your goddamn broom everywhere, you annoying little bitch. Sorry, I'm getting really angry.
Or she'll be like, oh, what are you up to again? Or
yeah.
like that. That's
going off on an adventure.
Yeah, go.
It's so irritating.
Going off on an adventure.
That's so annoying, dude. I hate her so much. But
I fucking love it.
Yeah, I guess I kind of I started to blank on the character talk. Like you would fly over. He's like, I don't know if I could live in a place this quaint or this small. I'm like, oh my god, shut up. Fucking hell.
Dude, every village is every. What? Oh, I just thought that was so. Some things kind of annoyed me. Some of them didn't. I definitely agree with you on the Foo Flame lady. Oh my god! Every place you went to, and every time you passed her, she would say the same 3 lines. It was always the same 3, and it's just like, yeah, that's something they could have worked on. Maybe put a little bit more than just 3 different lines, because I feel like after like the 20-hour mark, you're going to be going a little bit insane hearing the same thing over and over again from some of these spots. And I do find it to be a negative because it can be very, very annoying at times. Sometimes it's funny. Like, again, the Hogsmeade thing and all that. I think it is pretty funny. And also, it isn't really the game's fault, but it's just also the funny part that you use Revelio so much. So a lot of people have been making a lot of memes about it because like they're like, oh, when I got Hogwarts Legacy, I expected to use Avada Kedavra all the time. Nope, you use Revelio all the time. You just go, Revelio, walk down the street, Revelio, walk down the street, Revelio. You're basically doing that constantly. I didn't really use it as much as some other people, but I still think it's funny. So that's not really a negative. I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it was kind of funny. But other than that, I guess we can get back to combat real quick. I had something I was gonna say.
What don't really? I don't really
I
have.
guess we'll go to enemy variety real quick.
Nothing. There's none.
So enemy variety definitely could be better. Especially all the human enemies kind of have the same feeling, so none really felt different. Like they introduced these human characters kind of like other games where they try to be like, this is the brute, this is that, but they kind of are the exact same. They just use different spells, and they don't really feel different in any way or form. Not a single one. You kind of defeat them the same way you do for any other enemy. None of them really felt like you had to do something super crazy to take them out. I will say some of the other enemies are a little bit more enjoyable. Trolls are really fun to fight. Spiders start to get really annoying throughout the game because they kind of use the spiders a little too much, in my opinion, at a certain point of the game. I feel like every mission, you basically go into a cave and you have to go fight spiders over and over again. I'm like, that got a little tedious at a certain point.
Yeah, which I do want to shout out real quick. I convinced a friend of mine from work to play this game, and apparently he's terrified of spiders. So he's having a rough go of it. But I'm like, I don't know.
They're not that scary. They're not that bad.
I don't think they're that bad. There was this one weird moment where the game kind of, I guess it's kind of like I guess it's technically a glitch. But I walked into this room and I heard like the spiders crawling, and I turned around. And it was this portion of the game where if you opened up a particular door, a spider came out, but I had already done that. So the spider was just chilling on the wall, and I could like walk up like face first to it because I guess it kind of just glitched out and the door was no longer there for it to activate. So
Oh, that's funny.
there was just I actually have a video of it. I can send it to you. But yeah, it's just me just like looking at this spider and it's super creepy. Like they look good, but yeah, there is a lot of them.
I need to send you the video of me falling to. Because that's the other death I have it recorded. I'm forgetting to send you because it's funny. It's super random. But yeah,
What?
no, yeah, it's pretty funny. Dude, which, by the way, speaking of broken things with AI, dude, I definitely a few of that where, like, especially there's this mission in the castle where you get this. Actually, This is gonna be 2 points for me because there's definitely a negative I want to talk about this too on some of these stealth missions in this game. First thing first, the AI breaking part. There was this one mission in the castle where I had to go get these certain things called moonstones, which you'll figure out later in the game. And I'm sneaking past some people, and after I got all the mission done, I started to go back towards the stairs, and all the students, I guess their pathing broke the AI and everything, so they were just like walking into the wall. And the thing is, if I try to walk past them and they spot me, I fail. So I was like, so basically I had to like kind of like throw out treats for them to move. So I kept like throwing a spell out, and I'm like, okay, he moved a little bit, throw out a spell, and then like there was a couple times where I had to just completely reload the mission because they wouldn't move, and if I walked past them, they would spot me and I would fail. So there was like I think only like 1 or 2 times I had to restart because their pathing broke on the stairs and I couldn't get past them because literally they weren't doing their normal path like they should be. Um, the other negative I want to talk about real quick with the whole stealthing things is the fact that it's kind of breaking like my immersion because you'll go through these stealth sections, you get all the way done with them, and then when the mission ends, all those people that you were trying to hide from instantly disappear, and that area isn't a sneaky mission anymore.
Yeah, the
And it just kind of
restricted
breaks me.
area.
Yeah, like it's a
The
restricted area, but as soon as it ends, you can literally go right back down there, and there'll be no one.
yeah.
And it's like, so why was it restricted in the first place?
I don't know.
Like, I just don't get it.
I
It just
I
doesn't feel right.
I
It breaks my brain because I'm like, I'm immersed in the fact that this is a restricted area, and then the game goes around and it says, "Oh yeah, well, that was just a part of the mission." Like, I almost would prefer if they would have just kept the people there, and I had to sneak past it. It would have kept me interested in the fact that if I want to get some collectibles down there, I gotta sneak past them, which therefore would have probably used stealth more in the game, and it would have kept me more immersed. But the fact that they just instantly disappear and they stop giving a shit, it just really bothers me because it's like I lost all immersion in those sections very quickly because it didn't feel right to me.
yeah, because I think
What were you saying?
I was gonna say I think that's just a byproduct of the game wanting to be as open and as accessible as it can possibly be to anybody who wanted to play it or wanted to engage. Like I will have to say, you know, I find the idea of them continually to be restricted very. I feel like that could get very annoying throughout the term of the like gameplay, especially in like the point that I'm at now, where I'm just trying to find these last. Literally, by the way, I have 2 more pages left and 1 more chest to finish everything, and I just can't find them. It's so annoying. I'm like following guides trying to get. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's a problem that I have. That's a product of my own shortcomings. So. But I do say I agree. Yeah, the stealth system is dumb. Like I don't think I ever used the whole spell to distract people cast outside of the first time you have to use it. Like the game
No, I
makes
stopped using it very quickly
yeah,
into the game because it just wasn't. It just I don't know. It just wasn't fun.
and
I guess
also
is the best way.
I realized that all you have to do is just not walk straight in front of people, and
Yeah.
you can easily get around. So I just kind of like when the 2 or 3 mandatory stealth sections come up, I just would move through it fairly quickly. All right. How much more do we have? Because
Well, let me see real quick.
we've talked about
I
gameplay.
had. Yeah, I was trying to. I think I had one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, one more thing I want to say about combat, real quick, and this is positive. I really, really like when games when they, other than maybe one little tool that I already talked about, I like it when games give you tools and it actually gives you a good reason to use them. And at first, when I started to get the potions, I'm gonna give a good example. Witcher 3. In Witcher 3, they give you these potions in the game, but at the difficulty I guess I'm playing right now, I haven't really found an excessive need to use them. It's very rare that I ever do use them. But I feel like in this game, they do a really good job of actually making the potions worth using. And I actually found myself actually really enjoying to actually use these tools that they give you to my advantage. And I actually really like that. Like, especially like some of the potions, like the one where you can armor yourself up, or the one where especially the Thunder Brew. I love the Thunder Brew potion, dude. That thing's awesome. And again, you start to like when you get to the game and you can actually get to the point where you can start making a ton more potions, which I'm not going to talk about. Um, you can really start to like kind of just build up all these potions and use them to your advantage. And I actually I found myself quite a bit throughout the game actually using them, especially in the final boss. I used quite a bit of potions, probably the most I used in the entire game. And I really want to say I appreciate that, because if a game can get you to actually use the stuff that they put in the game, the tools, then I feel like they're doing a good job. Because some games like Witcher 3, for example, I haven't, especially the difficulty that I chose, which is normal, I haven't really found myself using the potions that much in that game. And I'm tempted to bring the difficulty up on that just so that I could actually, use them. But that's a whole nother topic, and that's way off topic from this. But I just want to say that I appreciate the fact that in this game, I feel like you actually want to use those tools that they give you. And other than one tool, which is me upgrading my gear, I used pretty much everything else that they gave me throughout the game. And I really found that to be awesome. And it kept me wanting to go back and make more potions and preparing and stuff. I just found that to be great, in my opinion. Really fun. What about you? What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think they're fine. I think the potion system in this game, and like you were talking about in The Witcher, again, that's off topic, but it's definitely something that you will take fully advantage of the higher difficulty you go up. I don't think it's truly necessary on normal. I engage with it because I thought it was fun and all that, and it was fun making myself like pretty much a stone goblin and just standing there taking hits from everything and not having to worry about anything. But it's definitely a system that comes to its fullest when you up the difficulty and you have to take advantage of everything that the game throws at you. So it's definitely not, like I said, something for normal, but I think it's fine that it's there, and I liked getting to a point where I engage with it, but eventually I didn't have to, because like I said, Mike and Fringo was taking people out in one hit, so I didn't really care. Like, I got overpowered very, very quickly into the game, which was fun. It consistently engage me, and I do kind of want to move on for this. I want to touch on story before we
I
get
have
to
one
the
more thing.
spoiler.
Real quick.
Okay.
One more thing about tools. I also want to say I appreciate the fact that most spells, I would say probably 90% of them, all had somewhat of a purpose in the game at some point. And I really like that too. Because at the beginning, I really thought I wasn't going to have to really use many of the spells. But I feel like throughout the game, especially with a lot of the puzzles and stuff, I actually had to use a lot of them quite a bit at certain points, and I really like that. I just want to get that out there too. That's another thing about the using your tools for, and most of your tools have a purpose at some point, and I feel like the spells, at least most of them, I would say about 90% of them, do have a purpose and have a use at a certain point.
All right. Yeah, I just want to close out combat with saying, at its basic core, it is simply fun. It's just enjoyable. Are there things to nitpick? There's things to nitpick about every single video game you've ever played in your entire life, short of maybe one or two. But it's simply just fun to engage and enjoyable to engage in those systems. So that's overall what I want to have to say. All right, let's quickly touch on story. We'll dig into story way more in the spoiler cast, as we always do. Like I said in the opening, I think it's fine. It's probably actually the game's weakest point, or weakest aspect for me, in terms of story, character, narrative, whatever, however you want to approach it. I think it's perfectly serviceable. Yes, there are some standout moments. There's a couple really good quest lines, and there's a couple of decent decently told stories, but the vast majority of what you're getting here, at least for me, is perfectly fine. Like, I think the main narrative and the main quest line never really becomes as grand of a scale as I wanted it to. I never really felt the weight of my importance in the world per se. I think the three main side quests that you go on, I think, are actually the best kind of story and narrative you get in the game, especially from a character perspective, with your three kind of main, I guess they're technically companions, but they don't really feel like companions per se. Especially like when you combine something like, the Mass Effect games, and those actual companions feel like a group, or like the people you play with in Forbidden West, they feel like a group together. This just feels like people you're helping out. So, but I do have to say their stories and the way that they're told are really, really good. Outside, I mean, not outside. It just depends on how you like take each character, like how you feel. Like I don't like one character, but I still think he's a well
Yeah,
told. I still think it's a well told story, and I understand it. I just absolutely hate the character.
that's
Um,
fair.
so I think again that is probably the weakest aspect of this game is story, narrative, and character development and detail. And like I said, is usually that is a huge letdown for me in the way that I like to play games. But I think the rest of the game holds itself up so well that that didn't really become a huge narrative, and it wasn't really the driving force that I had behind my 60-hour playthrough that I have of this game. So that's all I have to say at that in terms of critical response. We'll get more into it here in a couple minutes in the spoiler cast, what we think about all that. But what did you think overall about the story and all that?
I think in general it was good. Um, I think towards the end, especially, I feel like the story really started to get a feel for itself and actually started to have some pretty good twists. I would say, like, there were twists that I wasn't truly 100% expecting, especially some of the characters with relationships to specific things, especially the companion ones. There's definitely some pretty interesting twists that go on. They
Oh,
weren't
by the
like
way,
the
real
most
quick,
amazing twist. What?
I want to jump in. That moment that changes the game, I still don't know what it is.
I don't either.
I
I
have
don't
no
either.
clue.
I
No
literally
clue what
got to
people are
the end and I
talking.
beat it, and Amy's like, "So did you find the twist?" And I'm like, "No, I think I know what people were talking about, but it wasn't that much of a like a woo. I don't know. I'll explain it when we get to the
Yeah.
spoilers, but I didn't really think. I think I know what they were talking about, but I don't think it was really that wild. So I don't know.
For reference
Um,
out there, you can go back and listen to episode 38, 39, and 40 of the XP podcast. We were told that there was this huge moment in the game that completely changed the narrative. And Logan and I kept talking about when's it's going to come because we're getting close to the
yeah.
end. What is it? I still have no clue what it is. So
I don't
I guess
either.
uh,
I'm just confused. Like, did I miss something? Like, I don't
I didn't
remember
miss
missing it.
something. I did every
Yeah.
single quest. I did everything the game has to offer, other than finding the last 2 pages. So I don't know what I missed, but apparently the twist went right over my head, or it's not actually a twist. I don't know. So sorry, I
That's
just wanted to throw that in there.
no. I literally think that's so funny because yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm just kind of like, why? I don't know. It's just really weird. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think obviously my biggest problem. I kind of get why they did it, but I feel like they really played it safe with this story. I feel like they didn't really put their full creativity and go really wild with the story. And I kind of get why, because they had a lot weighing on them in this game. And I feel like maybe playing it safe was their best bet. But it did kind of make me wish that they really kind of stretched out their creative muscles and made a more, just did a little bit more, I don't know, tried some things, really maybe make some mistakes, I guess. I don't know, just do something and try to really make it its own. I feel like they did kind of make it its own. I still think it's a good story, a good, not great, good story, but it definitely could have been better. And I do agree with you. I think this is probably is one of the weakest points. Other than I think the second half of the game is a lot more interesting. The first part is a little eh. I mean, the intro is awesome, by the way. Very great, super cool, very interesting. And then you get to the certain point, like in the middle, where you're just kind of like, I don't know. It's like it's just kind of not really pushing me forward, other than the open world and all that, and my interest in just playing the game. But then the second half, I do feel like it started to get a little bit better. I feel like they started to do some more twists and turns, and I found it to be a lot more interesting towards the end. And it kept me. It kind of made me kind of get to the end pretty quickly, because I certain twists happened, and I'm like, I'm not gonna take a break in between this twist. Like, I'm just gonna beat it. I want to get to the end and see how this how the whole thing ends. Um, so yeah, I mean, good, not great. That's what I think of it.
All right, let's go ahead and move into the spoiler cast. What do you think? I don't have anything else.
I
Um,
think there's only one more thing, and I know we keep jumping back to world. I forgot to bring up one more tiny, and we could just say it real quickly. But we talked about it the other like 2 episodes ago or so. It's more that the only other problem I have with the open world, and this is just a really quick thing, is that with the open world, we've talked about in another episode about what we think is good open world design. And I think one negative to say about this game when it's open world is the fact that the open world revolves around you as a character instead of being a truly lived in world. And we've talked about this 2 episodes ago. I just wanted to throw that topic out there real quick too. It's just, yeah, it's one last little tiny negative. It didn't hinder me. It didn't make me bored of the game. It didn't, lose interest, but it definitely, I think it could have been better in the fact that it could have been more lived in. People could have had a lot more of their like living their lives and not focusing everything around you. I feel like, because the
yeah,
game kind of feels like it revolves around you the entire time, instead of just the world kind of being its own and then you're a part of it.
yeah. It's I would simplify it into this. There's two ways that open world games usually go for me. Does the open world exist for you to be in, or do you exist to be in the open world? I think this clearly falls into the open world exists for you to be there. And I think that is the least quality, a lower quality of those two kind of aspects. Like you look at something like Red Dead, where you exist in the open world. The open world's not there for you solely to exist in, you know? And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I like one over the other. But yes, this clearly is a world that was built specifically for your player to be there. And it doesn't ever really feel like, this exists outside of when you're in it. So I guess that is technically a negative. I didn't take it hugely away because, like I said, as the hours went on, I very much fell in love with this game. And I think that's evident by the fact that if you listen to my first opinions about it in my first 15 hours, I was fairly down on it. Like I wasn't really loving it. But as like I said in my write up, as my 20th hour went on, went into my 50th hour, I really really fell in love with this game. I really think it is a fantastic effort. It's selling well. Congratulations to them. We're going to get more from this, which I'm happy with. I just hope maybe they go a little more detailed into what it's like to live at Hogwarts, because you didn't really get that in this game. Like you didn't get that feeling of you living in Hogwarts and being a student. You were only a student when the game told you to be a student, instead of you getting to be a student when you wanted to be and exploring when the game asked you to. So
Yeah,
I
I kind
think
of hope in the sequel they really kind of learn from their mistakes in this one. They really go. I think, yeah, that is one big negative. It's just like you're the whole point of the game is you're a Hogwarts student, but I don't really feel like you're much of a student throughout the game. And I wish that was you got to be more of a student than you actually do in this game.
I feel like you're
Maybe
that student. We all knew the one guy in high school that just never showed up and was never there. It would only show up for test days, and we're like, "Hey, where have you been?" You're that
yeah,
guy. You're
pretty
that
much.
guy in this
Yeah.
game. So, but all right. Anything else we want to talk about real quick before we go on to the spoiler cast? Overall, like I said, I just want to get it out there. This game, if you're for some reason still hesitant about whether or not you want to play this game and you're a fan of our podcast, you're a fan of our content, I am fully confident in saying that I can 100% what's the word?
I don't know. You saying like you're fully confident in saying
Recommend. I recommend this.
recommend it. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I
Yeah.
recommend you to play this game. That's what I want to say. So
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely 100%. I do recommend anyone playing this. Maybe not on the Switch. Still curious to see how that goes, but soon with the more current or last gen consoles coming out, I do very much recommend this and everything. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for more people to get in and play it, and yeah, I'm just happy it's doing as well as it is. So I think I'm ready for the spoiler cast.
all right, yeah, we're gonna head on out. The screen will change. The spoiler cast. Want to let you know right now, if you haven't finished out the entirety of this game, go ahead and leave if you want to. I guess if you don't care about spoilers, then stay tuned. We'll be right back with the spoiler cast for Hogwarts Legacy. Like I said, if you don't want to listen to it, come on back when you're done with the game, and we'll be here as always to entertain you. We'll see you guys on the other side.
See ya.
All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome to the spoiler cast for Hogwarts Forbidden Legacy. Wait, what? Hogwarts Legacy.
Hogwarts Forbidden Legacy.
I don't know what I was. Oh, Forbidden.
You were going Forbidden West.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what was in my head there, but all right.
Boy.
Anyway, you guys that are still with us, you just listened to our full non-spoiler review for the game. I gave the game an 8.5 out of 10, giving it our gold trophy. Logan gave the game an 8 out of 10, giving it also our gold trophy. So overall, we think this game is absolutely great, falling just short of fantastic. But this is the portion of the episode where we dive into what matters most to me in gaming is the story and narrative. And if you're coming straight from the review, you know that I think it's the weakest part of this whole package. But nonetheless, we're still going to dive into it. So Logan, where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to dig into here? What were some of your favorite moments from the game, I'd guess?
Well, obviously, where I would probably start is the very beginning. I think the intro of this game is very awesome, especially the way they introduced. Well, one little thing I guess they introduced is the fact that how your character sees Thestral in the first place. Which, if you know anything about Harry Potter, the only reason you can see a Thestral is if you see someone die. And so at the very beginning, as I said, which is pretty cool, I didn't expect someone to die at the very beginning of the game. Someone dies right in front of you, because so at the beginning you basically you're a fifth year student, which is not normal clearly, and it's very weird that you're starting Hogwarts as a fifth year. And so you are talking to one of the main professors that he's a teacher of. I don't think he's a teacher of anything because he's not dark arts. So I don't know what he is, to be honest.
He's just Professor
Just
Fig.
a professor. So but he, I guess, has been working with you at with spell training and everything, to learn how to use a wand and everything. And you have a hand-me-down wand and everything. And so yeah, you're getting your stuff packaged, all your stuff put onto a wagon, and you basically then randomly one of Professor Fig's friends, which I have no idea what his name is, and I guess you can't really blame me because he's only in it for
his name is
a couple
George.
minutes. I don't know how you remember his name.
Because I have a very weird brain.
Yeah, so George comes to Fig with some information about his wife, which at this point I'm a little confused at the even especially towards the end. Like, has his wife not been around for a while? They didn't really explain that, other than just the fact that, like, I guess his wife found something, and George wants to show Professor Fig. And it's also more news on the fact that there's God damn, what's his name? Ragnarok? Is that his name? Ragnarok and
no, Ranrock.
Ranrock. I literally got confused. So Ranrock and his compatron, which you learn later, is
Rookwood.
Dude, it's sad. Wait, Workwood?
Rookwood.
Rookwood.
He's the descendant.
God, names, dude.
he's the descendant of
of one of the yeah. So
you have troubles over there, huh?
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. I'm sorry. I don't remember names. Even if I play 40 hours, I struggle with names a little bit. But yeah, so George comes to Professor Fig. You get on the wagon. You're off to Hogwarts. And then at that moment, George gives Professor Fig this little box, and he's like, "What the hell is this?" And then your character is like, "Whoa, what's that glowing thing on that box?" And he's like, "What glowing thing?" And then so you touch it, and it opens up, and what you see is a Pensy. No, Porky. Porky. Yeah, I got it. So, and you obviously grab it, and you're like, weird. Why can you see that? And then all of a sudden, uh, a dragon comes out of nowhere and rips the wagon in half. And I was like,
Fucking
wow, that was sick.
makes a
It was awesome.
snack out of George.
Yeah, and absolutely. And then even more surprisingly, I just felt like he was going to get away. And George just dies. He just gets eaten. And I'm like, okay, this is an intro. This is actually really cool. And at that moment, your character sees the Thestrals pop up on the front of the wagon, which I thought was very cool. And you get thrown out, and it's this really cool action scene where Fig grabs a portkey, grabs you, and you teleport to a different area, somewhere in Scotland, I believe. And yeah, so I mean, yeah, you go explore, you get the intro. I think the intro was really cool. This game is very interesting. It definitely got my attention very quickly. I was very interested in what the heck's going on, especially the fact that someone dies at the very beginning. I always find that to be pretty surprising in just about anything. So it kind of was like, dang, okay, this is a pretty strong start to the game. And so yeah, you explore and you make your way through these little searching this new area, which by the way, that area is really badass to look at. You see it in the trailers, but it's super cool. Very atmospheric, I would say. It's really, I don't know. It's very visually impressive, and it especially shows off how good the graphics are in this game, like right at the beginning. I thought it was very impressive, that area. And also just the animations of the game, like using spells and that. It's very well done, in my opinion. And so yeah, you get through, you go, you find this little door, you go through there, you go through the cave system where you get teleported into Gringotts. And then which is really sad because they tease you with Gringotts and you don't ever get to go there again. Kind of sad about that, but it was cool. Seeing again, strong start. I love that like you get to go through Gringotts. You get to see it in game and everything, and it looks really cool in my opinion. Very visually impressive. And then yeah, you get to the door, and from there you go into this like little cave system. You fight some knights and yada yada. You get to this point where you find a pensieve, right? Right? Wait, am I wrong? Wait, I'm trying to think here.
Pensive.
Pensieve, yeah, I found a pensieve. And don't you look in memories at the beginning? I'm pretty sure, yes. Yeah.
That's where you get your first look at Ranrock. And
yeah, Ranrock comes in, and not Rookwood, he wasn't there. So it was only Ranrock at that moment.
Oh no, my bad. In the pensive, you see both Rookwood and now I'm forgetting the names. The main professor of the ancient, the keepers. I forgot his name.
I don't remember his name either.
Nice.
Honestly, I can't remember any of them, to be honest. Any of their names.
Hogwarts Legacy keepers. I got this. Don't worry.
I feel a little bad, but not gonna lie, guys. Even if it's, don't even remember names, so it's not really on the game's fault. It's more that I have bad memory. So who is his name?
Percival Rackham.
Yeah. So yeah, you see him. Don't you see like him? I guess I don't know if that's later on, but when he does that stuff to the village where he throws a bunch of trees and water, and
that's later on. That's after his trial. That's where they introduce the female keeper, the bad one.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. So yeah, you know that all goes down, and then pops up and introduced to him, and you learn that basically goblins are pretty much on his side. Obviously, some of them aren't, and you kind of get that at the very beginning from the start. You kind of that not every goblin obviously is on his side. It's every, because especially the guy that brought you to the vault clearly wasn't a part of it, and he it, and he wasn't for it. And well, I guess he gets killed. I guess that's what I'm gonna assume because he doesn't get up. So I'm gonna assume he died. Um, and then you basically get your ass whooped, and then a knight pops up and fights it, and you guys, and then you get pretty much put into getting into the sorting part, and obviously that part was really cool. It kind of did what me and you both kind of wanted. If you didn't sign up on the thing, which by the way, I did sign up, but I only put on my Xbox account, so I pretty much didn't get any of that stuff, which I don't really care. None of the stuff was really that great anyway. So I just went through the game's way of sorting. And I kind of like that again. It asks you a few questions. It gives you like 5 questions, I believe, before you get sorted. And I really like that. That's what I was kind of hoping for. Obviously, it'd be even better if they let you get more than that, like 10 questions, and maybe really get an idea of what you are. But still, they do put a little tiny little thing where they ask you questions and they sort you. So I thought that was cool. And yeah, I mean that's the beginning of the game pretty much. You get that, and you get your day of classes. I think that's a very strong game. I found it to be very interesting. I was obviously just in general very intrigued to finally go see Hogwarts and everything. I was very excited to finally get there and start exploring and all that. But just in general, I thought it was a really badass intro. It was definitely very interesting and kind of surprising, especially with the death at the beginning. What about you?
So yeah, I think I kind of echo everything you're saying. I think the intro of this game is absolutely fantastic. I think it builds perfectly. It's the perfect amount of length. I think it took me about 45 minutes or so to get through the entire intro sequence with you in Scotland and the castle and going into Gringotts and that whole mystery to get you into the Sorting Hat and into your house. It takes about 45 minutes for me at least, and I think that's a perfect length. It definitely sells you on the mystery of the game. I don't really think the game follows up too well on that mystery, but it definitely sells you at the beginning of the quality that could be there and is there, and it all leads to this awesome moment where Professor Woodward, or no, that's not right. Professor Fig turns to the camera and says, "We have a ceremony to get to," and the camera pans and it zooms and it follows the elf and then the elf. It follows the owl and it just reveals the Hogwarts castle with the Hogwarts musical theme coming in, and it's awesome. The opening sequence is absolutely awesome visually, narratively speaking, and all the things that matter. It introduces you to some of the gameplay mechanics. You learn your first couple spells like immediately. And yeah, it's just overall great. I don't think it said the game completely holds up from that, but it never really like falls into just complete shit, you know? Like it maintains a bar of quality. While not a super high bar of quality, it still remains up there in terms of a good to decent story told. And then yeah, then once you get through the intro sequence, you get sorted into your house, the game just kind of goes and you can explore Hogwarts to your heart's desire and your heart's content. Like I told you, throughout that first kind of intro and all that, you don't get to level up or anything till you get to a certain point of the story, and it took me 8 hours to get to that point in my first playthrough, and I was like level 15 or 16 by the time I got to that point. So it definitely, like, the game encourages you to spend your time and exploring and all that, but focusing really much on the story. The opening is really great, and like I said, I don't think it really gets too much better in terms of story and narrative than the opening in terms of what it can and can't be. I don't have too many other high points, honestly, and like I know I'm sounding super negative. None of it's bad. It's all kind of shrug worthy for me, like none of it derails into atrocities or anything like that. But it's all just kind of fine. With, I said, the exception of some of the side quests, you do get to experience some cool shit. Like, dude, the fucking dragon scene. Oh my god, that dragon scene is so badass in the Hufflepuff side quest. So, but we'll get to that in a second. Oh, do you have some other high points from the story and all that you want to shout out?
Um, I think my other high point I would probably say is maybe towards the end, which is I guess kind of sad to say, but I think towards the end when they start to do a lot more of the twists, like for example, when they really start to push forward that this the other founder chick, the newer one, that was originally a kid
The
back
keeper,
in the
yeah.
yeah, the keeper. She was like a kid at the beginning when they first arrived, and she grew up and became a professor, and she got the ancient magic power that the main keeper had. I already forgot his name, but
Rackham.
Rackham.
Percival
So
Rackham.
Rackham. Okay, so she got like the same power as him, which is the H power, which also is the same power that you have as a character. Um, I found it pretty interesting, showing how she kind of just, grew to not kind of abusing the power, and she thought she was doing the right thing the entire time, such as another character that is another side character with a companion quest that's also doing the same thing. Um, she thinks she's doing the right thing. She thinks that she is she thinks that everyone else isn't using their full potential and not trying to do things, but she kind of went a little crazy towards the end, and she
By the way, her
started
name is excuse me.
Isabella,
No,
right?
Isadora.
Isadora, yeah.
By the way, her
So
name is bad. Her name is Isadora Morganach. Like that sounds like a bad person.
Yeah, I couldn't even. Yeah. Well, so yeah, she like throughout the story, you see that like she took the feelings out of her like father because of her brother dying. And she just resents the keepers because they weren't doing anything to help the people. In her mindset, she thinks that they aren't using their full potential to try to save people or try to help them with their problems and everything. So she took it in her own hands, and I found it pretty. I actually did kind of find that part a little interesting because it's just like I don't know. I do think it's a little weird how the keepers weren't, didn't tell to the last minute that something's a little messed up with her. She's doing some very wacky things, and
Well,
they're like,
also they didn't do
she's kind of
anything.
bad.
They didn't do anything to stop her.
I know, that's what I thought was weird too.
Like
Until
they're
the
sitting there.
very end, like last minute, they finally stepped in, which I was kind of surprised that they killed her. Didn't expect that. Really didn't expect
Especially
that to
the
happen.
way it happened.
Yeah, when he did that, I was like,
Yeah,
what?
dude.
Did he just use that spell? Like I thought that was an unforgivable.
When
I was confused.
his name is Bakar, when the keeper Bakar just fucking shouts out Avada Kedavra, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I didn't
like,
expect
damn.
that. I was like, damn, dude, okay. And I think the other moment that was kind of cool was the Rockwood fight. I thought that was kind of cool. Anyways, I had Avada Kedavra, so I just one shot his ass and killed him. But still, it was cool. I did kind of like that moment too.
Yeah, it was
but I feel like at that point too, which is a problem with it, the ending, it started to kind of get rushed towards the end. I feel like that kind of got pushed under the rug very quickly, and I was like, oh, like I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of a big moment. But they're like,
yeah, it kind of happens out of nowhere. Like
yeah.
you have this whole thing where you have to like go get this powerful wand that's really only used for one thing, which was a little disappointing. But then Rookwood just captures you, the screen fades to black, and you load it up and you're fighting. And
yeah,
like I was so powerful, like you said, it was very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. Like, dude, all these people, like, we're gonna take you down. I'm like, dude, everyone was literally nothing. I just tore everyone up, and then when he popped up, and I'm like, Avada Kedavra. He died. It was hilarious because it was just like it was so funny because like his health bar went from full to none in one shot, and I'm like, damn.
It is the first time that you cross swords, cross wands, I guess, and you have that little mini game. Yeah, it was cool. Although when it happened for me, the fucking frame rate tanked.
No, same here,
dude. The frame rate tanked when that happened.
It was like 15 FPS. Yeah. Like seriously, it was crazy. I don't know what happened there. It was really weird because like no other time in the game did it drop that hard. Like it dropped hard. Like I don't know, maybe that magic is too strong for the system to handle because like I don't know what happened, but that was really bad. That's actually a good point. I totally forgot about that till you said that. Yeah, it really tanked hard, like really hard.
By the way, I looked it up. Professor Fig teaches magic theory at Hogwarts, which is a class you never take because frankly he's there less than you are. He's never there. But speaking of Professor Fig and all that, the professors are really the star of the show here, which I think is cool, but also kind of a negative. Like you have so much rapport with the professors, you can go up and talk to them, and you can learn a lot about their backstory, which is all really good. Like I enjoy it, but it's like the students, your classmates, the one you're supposed to be um building rapport with outside of a couple of the main ones, kind of get left in the dust, and you don't really get to talk to them and learn anything about them throughout the game, other than, like I said, the main 3 or 4 that are connected to the side quest, the main side quest. Other than that, everybody else just kind of gets left in the dust, and which was a huge negative for me. I really wanted to have an excuse to go talk to people. Every time you get done with a mission, like speaking of something like Mass Effect, every time you get done with a mission, you walk around your ship and you talk to all your companions and see what they thought, get their reactions or build relationships and things like that. And there's none of that here. There's no relationship building. There's no getting to know the students outside, again, of the main
I
3 in a deeper capacity.
I feel the opposite because I feel like you barely get anything with most of the professors. Like you get the one class like scenes or so, and then after that, they're just not there anymore. They're just cannon
Well,
fodder. They're in the
it,
background.
if
While the
you go up and
students, you
talk
get
to
a lot
them,
more, which I like having the students, but I wish that you got more time with the professors, like maybe more class time with them or something like that. I don't know. I feel like the
yeah,
professors got pushed under the rug very quickly in the game.
but
They were there and they were very cool. And I found all of them to be extremely unique. And if you take the time, by the way, I think you should go to the professors and talk to them after class and like kind of learn more about them because I find them to be very interesting. It's just you don't really get much more of them. You get that like a couple scenes for like I would say for 20 to 25 hours of the game. You'll probably be going between open world and going to class at certain points after you do like challenges and stuff throughout the game. But then after that, I feel like at the 30-hour mark, teachers are non-existent. They're there. They're like in the school, but like there's no importance. I think the last class I took was this really random moment where I walked past this classroom and there happened to be a quest there, and that was for the history class. But that was it. Like I was like,
well,
oh, I kind of wish there was more time with the professors. I
if
feel
you
like you
go up to
barely.
if you go up to talk to them though, they have like multiple different dialogue trees. Like I've talked to Professor Garlic like 5 times, and she has like a whole dialogue tree each time where you get to ask her questions, and her story continues to build off those first couple of conversations. So you do have to kind of, I guess, go out of your way and engage with them in the same way that I wish you could do with the students. Like there's no
Yeah,
student in the game that if you just walk up to at random times, there's a whole dialogue option for you.
I agree with that.
That's what I was
I
saying.
wish you
Like
could do that. Yeah,
you can do that with the professors. Like even post game, I can walk up to the professors, and there's a whole dialogue interaction where they talk about what they're feeling. Like Professor Garlic goes through a history, which is connection to some of the other professors, mostly Professor Weasley in this one. Professor Howin has this whole different story about why she loves. Oh no, sorry, not Howin. Professor Kagawa has this whole history of other schools in the world of Hogwarts, and her history with why can't I remember the Quidditch, and why she loves that game and what it means to her. So yeah, I think the professors are actually fairly detailed if you engage with them. If you don't engage with them, then you don't really get anything from them. But I wish those options were there for the students. Like there's Gareth Weasley, who he's a part of the story at the beginning, and you get like 1 or 2 things with him. But every time you go up to talk to him, he just has one random line of dialogue that he says. There's no in-depth conversation to be had there, like there is with the professors. That I wish was kind of flipped, honestly. Like the professors are cool and all that, but I'd rather get to know the students that I'm in
I
class with.
wish. Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't even really think about that. I do agree. They honestly they did kind of uh that was kind of a letdown. Yeah, that you can't go to like any of the students, like especially yeah, like Gareth Weasley. Like he kind of like seems like he's pretty important, and then you only get like 2 side quests with him, and then that's it. And I feel like you don't really learn a lot about him, which I feel like they could have showed us more. Especially since he's a Weasley, and I know a lot of people are going to be instantly interested to see, some Weasley history and everything. And Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you on that because, like, I do kind of wish you could interact with a lot more students, like main students that you see throughout the game. Because obviously, some you can't do for literally every student because there's some cannon fodder students, is what I'll call them, like boy, girl, students or whatever. But I do agree with you. I do kind of wish you could do that more. In general, I just wish you could do more with everyone, like just more interaction with the students, and then also more interaction with the professors and just in general being able to go to class whenever you want would be cool, which that's we already talked about that in the non-spoiler section, but still I do kind of wish that was a thing too. I had something I was gonna say, I don't remember now,
I was
but
gonna
go
say,
on.
let's dive into we talked about the main quest line, which does kind of meander for honestly most of the runtime outside of the opening and the closing acts of the game. Like you said, it does get really good at the closing end of the game. There's a lot of cool things like we talked about with the keepers and how that storyline unfolds. Most of the other, I would say, 30 or so middle
Ooh,
hours of the story is kind of meandering in a way, but I wanted to jump into what I think is the best storytellings in the game, and that is the three main side quest logs. If you're
oh,
ready to jump into them,
I have one funny thing I just remembered.
what's up?
I really love that throughout this game everyone is almost like being like us as an audience about the fact that they didn't put Quidditch in this game. And like every minute of this game, there's always some kind of student like, dude, this is really dumb. They're not having Quidditch in this. Like, where's Quidditch? Or the teacher too. She's like, this makes no sense. Like, if you, especially if you read the notes and everything, and especially if you go to the hospital wing, you can read a note too in there, and it's like her basically complaining that there's no Quidditch. I thought that was really funny because it's almost kind of like these students and all that are us, and it's us complaining that the fact that there's no Quidditch in this game to like, and they did it to themselves, like basically the developers were Professor Black and us as students and also the professor for flying and everything are all complaining about Quidditch. I thought that was kind of
By
funny.
the way, Professor
I thought that
Black
was
is a
interesting.
dick.
He is, dude. He is. He's an even at the end with the most like something like, well, I guess we're in spoiler.
Yeah,
Professor Fig dying, like the fact that Professor Black still is an asshole at that point, like just shows how much he just does not fucking care.
yeah.
He's such an asshole.
Which, to be fair, is completely in line with the lore. Like, yes, Sirius Black is one of the heroes of the Harry Potter stories, and he is essentially the closest thing that Harry Potter has to a father figure outside of maybe like obviously Professor Dumbledore or things like that. But the rest of the Black family are fucking terrible. Like if you read the books or if you read a little bit of the lore, the Black family are just full of evil people, awful people, and Sirius Black really is that standout, singular good person in that family. So credit where credit is due. They follow along with the lore perfectly in that, and honestly, all aspects of this game they follow along with the lore fairly, spot on from what Peyton has told me and from what I know. But yeah, he's a total douchebag, dickhead. Doesn't give a flying fuck about his job or anything like that. Doesn't care one bit. And
No.
been faced with a situation where he has to care, where he has to be serious with giving Professor Fig the memorial that he deserves, he clams up, and Professor Weasley has to take over and gives a fairly good speech about him. Even though I
Speaking
feel
of
like
that,
she doesn't like him that much either. She's always like hating on Professor Fig because he's never there. So
yeah. I actually, speaking of that, that is actually easily one of my favorite moments in this game is the fact when you do turn into Professor Black and you have to go around, you can interact with different professors and
oh, it's
students
so good.
and be such an asshole. And it's so funny.
when
I think it's hilarious.
when you deal with oh shit, what's his name, the
Oh,
potions
yeah,
professor,
potions for oh
Sharp, Professor
yeah,
Sharp. When you
sure.
deal with
Yeah.
him and you're like, just tell me what's up, and he's like, you sure you want to do it here? He's like, oh, by the way, I have that ointment for you. And it's fucking funny as hell,
Yeah.
dude.
And you can tell him to have a student deliver it to your
Yeah,
door.
it's
I thought that was
so
hilarious.
good. Granted, you don't really get to see the ramifications of that, which again is, I wish there was a little bit more in this, but if you don't have anything else on the main story, I do want to hop into my favorite part of the game, which is the side quest stories.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
All right, let's jump
Um
into the fucking massive elephant in the room, Sebastian.
Yep.
an
You
amazingly
either love
told
or hate him.
story for one of the worst characters in Harry Potter history, in my opinion. I fucking hate this guy. Dude, I wish I could send you the video of my Ring camera and my reaction to the ending of his story, because I was so mad. And the fact that he still wasn't apologetic for what happened or understanding of what happened. Like when he first kills his uncle,
Yeah, that was wild.
and
That
then
moment was really crazy. I did not expect that.
and then he's sitting there. He was like, "Well, how does she not understand? Why is it my fault?" I'm like, "What the fuck do you mean? How's it not your fault?"
Yeah.
I was so
Like, and
angry
you
of that.
don't
This
just
kid.
say that out of like you don't just say that. Like you had to have the intention to go kill him. Like you must have been that angry to be like, I'm gonna kill this person. Because you could have thrown out any other spell, and he threw out the killing curse.
And no, I hated it. I visibly hate this guy. And I said, I want to send you the video of my reaction to the end of his storyline, because I was just so mad. And yes, I shipped his ass off to Azkaban. The fucker can rot in prison for all I care. I was savage. I did not like him at all. And then, like,
I was evil the entire time. I kind of encouraged him the entire time. So that's why a thing that you were going to talk to me about. But like, I didn't know if you could change anything. I'm guessing you can't, because I don't know how much you try to sway him away from things. But I encouraged him the entire time, and so I thought maybe that was the reason why certain things happen. I need to look that up if anything changes. But
I mean,
like, I encouraged him,
I,
so I don't know.
I kept trying to like tell him, what we're doing is wrong, but I don't really actually think there's a way to stop what happens, because there is no decision really making in this game. There's just conversational differences to be had. So I kept telling him like, hey, this is not right what we're doing. But then I would just continue the story. And then, yeah, at the end, I was like, yeah, bro, you gotta go. And I felt really bad for Ominous, because Ominous
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
clearly Ominous has dealt with everything that's been going on here before. He clearly knows where all this is headed, and he can't do anything to stop it, and he can't really stop his friend from going down essentially the dark side.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of, after everything I did and me encouraging him through most of it, I felt extremely horrible towards the end, because I was like, man, well, because again, I don't know. I obviously was the illusion that I was kind of changing something in what happened in this side quest. Like I thought maybe there'd be two different endings in a sense if you said certain things. I don't know, but yeah, I felt really bad for Ominous, honestly, because like, dude, he was just trying to tell him to stop. And again, I felt bad because I kept telling Ominous he was wrong. And then what happened at the end, I'm like, oh man, not great. Not great at all. I feel really bad about this, because Ominous was just trying to be a good friend. And obviously Sebastian kind of didn't care about what anyone said at that point. Even you, even though you, like, for example, me, I supported him very heavily, and then he would still snap at me, especially when I like talked about goblins and that, and he was like, "Oh, you like goblins, so you don't care and all that." It's like, dude, shut the hell up. Like I
Oh,
at that moment I did snap. I'm like, dude, shut up. Like literally,
especially
dude.
the reveal where it wasn't a goblin that did anything.
Yeah,
It was just
yeah, it
another
was
wizard. And then
Rockwood
Sebastian
or
still,
Rookwood.
yeah, Rookwood. And Sebastian's still like, he goes, oh, I feel kind of bad about that, but like, I still don't care. I'm still,
Yeah,
hyper focused. Which again, I may not like the character in terms of like who he is, but I still think the story is incredibly well told. And like one thing that really came to prevalence in my mind is the fact that each three of these side quest characters represents the house as a whole. Obviously, the Slytherin side quest character with Sebastian deals with the quest for the like his ambition and power and all that, which is a core component of the Slytherin house, and his dealing with that and his resolve and just desperately trying to gain as much power as he can to break this curse is honestly a core tenet of that house and that storyline that we see resonate throughout the history of Harry Potter lore and storytelling. And the same with the other two. What's her name? Adelaide Oaks, I think. Or no, her name is Adelaide. She's the Hufflepuff character, and her entire side quest storyline deals with the saving and preservation of magical creatures and different things that, again, resonate with the Hufflepuff house as a whole. And by the way, I've seen a lot of people hate on her storyline. I was like, dude, her storyline is so cool. You get to save a dragon. You get to figure out the birthplace of the golden snitch and the fact that they came from these creatures, and you get to save those creatures, and you get to meet the centaurs. I think. Wait, yeah, the centaurs, aren't they? Yeah, yeah,
Yes, yeah.
yeah. You get to meet them, and it's like I think her storyline is so fucking cool, and just what you get to do and how expansive it makes the world. I don't know. What do you think? I see a lot of hate for her storyline out there and her as a character. I think she's pretty, blah as a character in terms of how good Sebastian is as a character. I just don't like Sebastian. I think her development isn't that great, but like what you do outside and the things you get to experience through her story, I think are really cool.
Honestly, I liked all of them, to be honest, pretty equally. I thought all of them explored very interesting parts of, the world. Where, like, obviously the Hufflepuff focused mainly on beasts, while Naomi, right? Is that her name? Or
Natty,
is it Natty? Sorry. Natty, she focuses more on
the
the
heroism.
yeah. And then, you got Sebastian, where he's focused on the dark arts and saving his sister and stuff. And I feel like they all kind of focus on their own thing. I don't really think any of them were bad. I thought all of them were actually extremely interesting. I don't know where people said the Hufflepuff was bad. I thought that was very interesting. Also, them actually bringing the centaurs in, because I was wondering when that was going to happen, because you could see them in the world, but I was really hoping at a certain point you got to actually kind of explore what they think at this point in time in the world. And you do get that. And I thought that was really cool. Especially the dragon scene was badass. The golden snitch thing, I thought that was super cool. Finding their origin place and everything, and you kind of like bringing them back to the world and all that. I thought it was really cool. I thought all three of them were equally as interesting. Yes, Sebastian was an a-hole, and you may not like him as a character towards the end, but I thought his entire storyline in general was very interesting. And so I think all of them were just extremely interesting. I thought all of them were, in my opinion, it's kind of sad to say, but I think these companion quests are the key components of this game. I think they are the best stories of this game.
Oh, easily,
No
easily.
stop. No stop. Like, truly, guys, if you don't play the companion quest, I think you are missing out, because they are. And also, if you have a PlayStation 5, play the exclusive side
Oh,
quests,
it's so
which
good.
I'm not extremely happy about that, because, by the way, this side quest is easily up there with one of the best. It has the most unique, interesting, and just honestly original stuff in the game that you will never see again, especially the boss battle. It's all original and unique and cool. It
Yeah.
does make me kind of frustrated that they would literally cut this off. And I don't care what they say or what people say. You're the one who took the deal from PlayStation. So I count it as quite a negative, in my opinion, because I think that's really dumb to take away a very good side quest. Because it's not just some basic ass side quest, it's a very good side quest. And that's a whole nother topic, but still, I do think it's pretty much a negative, in my opinion, that I don't like that it's an exclusive. You can make all this other stuff exclusive, like the luck potion and all that. I don't care. But making the side quest exclusive, especially as good of a side quest as it is, probably one of the best, other than the companion stuff. Oh no, not probably. It is the best outside of the companion quest, and it's kind of disappointing to see it kind of locked behind the PlayStation wall for an entire year. So basically, no one else is going to play it, because I'm telling you right now, no one's waiting a year to play that side quest. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Outside
dumb.
outside of the semantics of the deal and what it is, in my opinion, the best singular quest. Like
Yes.
the quest lines of all the three main side quest characters, I think are all supremely well done. But in terms of singular quests, just one in, one out, it is easily the best that the game has to offer, which is a letdown that not everybody gets to enjoy that. But one last thing I wanted to say about the side quest characters is Natty's character, the representation of Gryffindor and the heroism behind that is just another look into the lore of Harry Potter world in general, and the fact that she's an animagus, and that whole story revolves around, honestly, you know, being a hero, but also coming to terms with what being a hero means, and that sometimes means you have to do the things, you have to do certain things that can lead to sadness in your life, and that's what the character of Natty struggles with the entire game until the very end. She's dealing with the loss of her father, and her father being the one who heroically saves her, and the fact that at the end of the game she does the exact same thing to you. She heroically saves you, even though it was just like the curse wasn't going to kill you, it was just going to torture you for a little bit. So it's not like she took a fucking Avada Kedavra to the face for you, but she still gets that revelation of her father did this because that's who her father was, and he saved her from that. And she did the same thing for you as a friend, or more, depending on how you want to look at it. Um, yeah, like we said, I think all the three main story quests, main
And also,
side quest stories, are just so well done.
and speaking of Natty, I really appreciate them actually bringing more lore from a different school into this game. I really love that. I love that they actually like kind of the you get to learn throughout her storyline, especially since the first time you meet her, that she is from uh, a magical school in what was it again? It wasn't in
It's
like in Africa or
Yeah,
something.
it's in Africa. I don't remember what it
Yeah,
was, but
but still, like you kind of get the idea of her explaining it and how much different it is from your school and how they learn how to use spells without a wand and all that stuff. I thought it was very unique and very interesting, and it kept me it kept my interest because I kind of wanted to learn more. Like it's cool. I do kind of wish there was more students like that in this game, but Amy did bring up a good point when she told me there's not really a lot of students that ever transfer from different schools. So I can kind of see why they didn't do a ton more. But still, just having one was very interesting because it was cool to learn about an entirely different Hogwarts school and learning about what the differences between Hogwarts and that one is.
I will
Um,
say it kind
that was
of
cool.
it was cool, but it also kind of breaks the understand lore a little bit. So the understand lore behind wandless magic is you have to be incredibly powerful. Like there are not a lot of people that could one do speechless magic and wandless magic. There are, until this game, there were only the select few that could actually have the ability to do that. Not even any of the main characters in Harry Potter have the ability to do speechless or wandless magic. So the fact that they introduced an entire school that can just do wandless magic broke the lore a little bit. And I don't really know how they're going to deal with that moving forward. If this game is considered a part of the lore and is detailed in the lore, that kind of goes against the established idea of it. So that one kind of irked me a little bit, but they didn't really delve too far into what that means. So I guess maybe we'll get more details later on in the next story, or the show that's being made out of this. So that was my only real big like complaint in terms of lore building is everything is so great, but the fact that I don't know, that I feel like they ignored that aspect for a deeper character, a more interesting storyline in school out there. Because like, if there's an entire school that can cast wandless magic, it kind of makes the people at Hogwarts kind of like crappy in terms of how powerful they are in terms of wizard, at least stacked up against the lore as we know it. So I don't know. That was weird. I don't know. I'm getting deep into the lore of things here, but as far as I understand, there are very few that are capable of doing that until this game came out, and now there's an entire school that just does that willy nilly, which felt really, really odd to me. So I don't know. I don't know if you have anything to know about that. I don't even know if you knew that lore or not. So
Well, I do know that the wordless magic actually is a class in Hogwarts that you do learn how to use wordless magic. So I wouldn't really say wordless magic is that crazy, but I guess yeah, I was a little interested in the fact that they do know how to use magic without a wand. I would like to know more about that and how they know how to do it. They also didn't explain that they didn't use any other items. They just said wandless. So maybe they use something else. I don't know. because she didn't specify if they use their hands or what do they use. Because I'm sure they use something. She just didn't explain what it was. She just said wandless. So I'm curious about that. Maybe there's something else they use. Because I kind of get that very I don't know the word, broad, So I don't know. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there is literally a class that you can learn wordless magic. I'm sure it's a later year kind of class, but Amy told me about it, and I'm pretty sure it's in the books. So you do learn wordless magic at a certain point.
All right, fair enough. Maybe, I'm off on that, but I don't know. Because I'm looking up wandless magic here, and it says, such magic was often difficult to perform and could have unexpected or violent results if not done properly. But then it does say, witches and wizards accustomed to using wands could only reliably perform wandless magic if they possess great skill. So, still, I don't know. I guess it does line up with the lore now that I'm reading of it. So I'm totally wrong on that. My bad. So, point null and void. But anyway, what else do you want to talk about? We'll kind of come into a natural progressive end of the conversation. It's not
I guess
it's not the type of story that you need a whole lot of deep dive into to really understand, and it's, like I said, generally a well told story with decent characters and a couple of standout moments. But overall, I think, like I said, it is a fine story, but definitely in my eyes still the weakest aspect of the game as a whole.
yeah, I feel like they mainly, when they designed the game, I feel like they really focused heavily more on the open world, the design of it, and honestly probably even more on the companion quests than they did on the main story, which is pretty wild to think of. But I do think, again, as I said and Mike has said, I think the companion quests and also the exclusive quests are probably some of the best, and well, the best in the game. So yeah, but what do you think of the ending? I guess we should just go with that and we can end there with the ending of the game if you want to talk about that. Since we're in the spoilers anyways, people will probably already beat it.
I thought it
But
was
I
fairly underwhelming, honestly.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I thought,
Um
like you said, there was a lot of cool things happening, and then the ending just kind of came pretty quickly, and you get the decision to either destroy the magic or sorry, unleash the magic or contain the magic, and those are your two endings. And I don't know how else they could have done it based off what it is, but the fact that they didn't have, obviously a detailed branching storyline, obviously they couldn't do too much with, the endings. But I thought overall it came pretty quickly and underwhelmed the majority of the way I looked at it.
yeah, I gotta agree with that. Yeah, I kind of also wish that when you made that decision at the end, it would change something a little bit more. But I watched both the endings. I got the good ending, my good ending. I watched the bad ending, and honestly, it's not that much wildly different, other than you just contain the power within yourself, and you don't really get anything for it. Like if you beat the game and you get past all the cutscenes, there's nothing to it. It's just there. That happened. Maybe in the next game, if it's going to be a sequel, and if it goes to the 6th year, because at the end of the game, you have completed your 5th year, and you win the House Cup, which
Yeah,
doesn't really feel like I deserved it because
yeah.
we didn't really get to do anything for that, and
And
I
also,
kind of felt like it was lackluster because I was kind of hoping to do more competitions in the game, because that's a big part of the Harry Potter thing is competition between the houses, and I don't think you really get that in this game. So I'm hoping in the sequel they really do kind of focus on that, because I feel like that's a very important part of the Harry Potter thing is just the competition. And when you win something, I don't feel like I deserved it. So
and regardless of what ending you choose, you still win the House Cup.
yeah, no matter
So,
what.
like in the beginning of the game, you are there are certain aspects where, like, the professors say 100 points to Ravenclaw. Well, for me, Ravenclaw. I guess whatever house you're in, they say that. But
Yeah.
again, that all kind of goes away very, very quickly. I would say only in the first, 10 or so hours of the game. And it may even be shorter if you're ripping through the story. But for me,
Well,
the 10 to 15 hours is like the only time you ever hear anything about points being handed out for doing things within the game. So that could have been drastically expanded upon and made the winning the House Cup
well,
substantial.
what's more disappointing is I think it would have been far more interesting is if they are going to spew out all these points and everything. When you go to the literally the area where you could check how many points you have, and nothing changes. And I feel like that's extremely disappointing. Because if you're going to spew out all these points and say all these things, then show who's winning. I don't know. I found I when you go there, it looks like they never change it. And even at the very end of the game, you could tell they've done nothing, and which is a very weird detail that they didn't focus on. They focus on a lot of very crazy details in this game, but when getting points and all that, and you go to where you check how many points your house has gotten, all of them are equal, and none of them have any kind of change in any way throughout the game. And I find that to be kind of dumb. And also, again, takes me out of the immersion that I'm going throughout the year and people are getting points and there's no difference. So yeah, I do think it's kind of disappointing because like yeah, you get to the end, you win, but you again it just doesn't feel well deserved. Like yeah, I guess you did save the school, you did go out of your way, and you did a lot of crazy things throughout the year, but I still feel like it would have been even more exciting if there actually was a competition throughout the year. Maybe put a little bit more side activities in the game, like I don't know, Wizard's Chess that you kept freaking showing throughout the game, but you can't play Wizard's Chess, which makes no sense. You literally have wizard chests everywhere in this game, and it's not in there. Or that at the beginning where that one you help that little girl get these little bean things. That's another game. I don't remember what it's called, but you can't play that game either. Like you can't play a lot of the good games in Harry Potter, which I think is weird. Like I get Quidditch. That's very difficult to probably design. Not probably, it is. But a lot of these other side games should have been in here, you know, to get like points. Like they have one competition I could think. There's obviously the wizard wand thing, but that's supposed to be a side thing. And then there's that ball thing. And that's the only game I remember in the entire game where you actually compete. Other than I guess also the racing, but that's not much of a competition in my opinion. It's only against the Slytherin. So I don't know. But
Yeah, I don't know either.
altogether, I still had a great time with the game. I still think it was a really good time. It was great. I think again, as Mike and me have said multiple times, I think the companion quests are the best. Also, the exclusive quests, if you have a PlayStation, easily one of the best quests by itself. Um, I do think that they did a really good job, at least, of making the world very interesting to explore. And some of the side quests you do with some of the students are pretty interesting, and you do learn a little bit about them. But obviously, it could have been better with actually the fact that you can actually explore more of them in general and talk to them more. I also just wish the professors you got more time to spend with them. Maybe actually had more classes throughout the game as a student, because again, as Mike said, you're basically that student that literally skips the entire year and then comes to the test, and that's you. That's pretty much what this game was. You basically skip an entire year most of the time. Like you probably only do classes for like the first 20 to 30 hours, and then after that you're done. So yeah.
Yeah, like I said, don't want to repeat ourselves too much, but overall,
Yeah.
I think a great game. Not perfect, not absolutely amazing or jaw dropping, but yes, overall loved it. Overall enjoyed it. Recommend it to anybody out there. Anything else, man? You wanna get out there?
No, I don't think so. I kind of do hope they do make a DLC for this game or some kind of expansion. That'd be really cool. But other than that, I don't think I got much more to say about the game as it is right now. I think, yeah.
All right.
Again, recommend it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our review. Everyone who has either been watching or listening, we just want to take this time, as always, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Without your support, we could not be doing what we're trying to do here at the Experience Point. But tell everyone out there how much you like us, how much you hate us, whatever it is. Let people know that we exist. We would always greatly appreciate it, and maybe let them know that we actually know what we're talking about slightly outside of Harry Potter lore, which I guess I got wrong. So, Mr. Birdman, any last words?
Thank you guys for stopping by, and especially appreciate everyone that stayed throughout the video and listened to the whole thing. Obviously, if you liked it, give us a like and a subscribe. God, I can't talk. But other than that, I would also like to shout out our Patreon Platinum member, Logan Leffler. We do appreciate your support each and every month. And yeah, you guys will hear us on the next, or at least me, and soon Mike, on the next XP podcast.
Yeah, I'm hoping I don't cease to exist in the
Yeah,
next week. So
that's fair.
once again, thanks everyone for listening and following along with us. This has been another edition of XP Reviews, brought to you by all of us here at the Experience Point. Stay tuned. Check out the next episode of the XP Podcast coming to you next week. I hope everyone has a great one, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
There's no place like Hogsmeade.
I hate you.